Fugitive Mind is a 1999 sci-fi movie that is my VHS watch for the week. Look at the labels on that. I love it. This movie is trapped on VHS, I believe, but you can find it here on YouTube. The movie stars Michael Dudikoff, who plays a janitor for a biotechnology kind of company, and he may be more than just a janitor as things start to unfold. This movie is criticized for having a not very original plot. It's very much a Manchurian Candidate kind of programmed assassin situation. And although it has schlocky direct-to-video appeal, the real reason I wanted to watch it is because it stars Heather Langenkamp, who you may know best as Nancy from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. She is, to this day, one of my biggest celebrity crushes, and she's acting circles around everybody else in this movie. For my money, this was an okay watch. I don't necessarily look for every movie that I watch to have an original concept, and anytime I get to see Heather Langenkamp in a starring role and get lost in her beautiful blue eyes for 90 minutes, it's definitely worth checking out. Deadline from 2009 is a horror suspense movie about a writer played by Brittany Murphy who takes a retreat to a borrowed empty mansion to work on a screenplay, which the deadline is fast approaching. Though this movie is probably most noteworthy because of Brittany Murphy's presence, it also stars Thora Birch with a great performance. I actually think it's kind of overhated, and after watching the movie, I don't really agree with some of the major criticisms. I think it's shot well. I think the emptiness of the mansion, the isolation is very well conveyed. I think Brittany Murphy's character is properly aloof and troubled. And I also think what is actually happening in this movie has gone over most viewers' heads. Now, that may be the fault of the filmmakers for not being clear enough, but with an ending that left me feeling confused at first, the more I ruminated on it and thought about what was actually going on, the more I realized there's a layer of brilliance here. Now, that doesn't make the movie some kind of masterpiece, but I really enjoy when I can think through and have theories about what's really going on in a movie. And this movie, I feel, delivers that, albeit in a very small dose. Because of her untimely death, there are only so many Brittany Murphy films to enjoy, and I'm very glad I took a chance with this one. November from 2004 is a psychological indie thriller starring Courtney Cox, and I actually picked this up on DVD at a thrift store. It's in this Blockbuster case, which I used to hate these cases and toss them and swap them out with quote-unquote regular DVD cases, but now I love when I find these because they're so durable. They're built like a tank. They will never fall apart. I absolutely love them. In the movie, Courtney Cox plays a photographer who is involved with a robbery gone wrong at a convenience store in which her boyfriend is murdered. As the movie unfolds, we see that there was more going on in her life and in his life, and the events of the botched robbery may not have played out exactly as we are first presented. This movie is shot on digital video, which gives it a very distinct look. The music is really great, and the movie itself is rather short. The credits start rolling after about an hour and 10 minutes, so this is not a huge time investment. There's definitely a surreal feel to this movie. It's very dreamlike, and will leave you questioning what is going on until it all comes together in the end. If I had seen this movie when it came out, this would have been right in my wheelhouse. Watching it now, I can definitely appreciate what the creators were going for, and I think this is a little bit of a hidden gem. It's so hidden, in fact, that I had a hard time finding it on the internet, so I have uploaded it to this channel if you would like to enjoy it yourself. I Know What You Did Last Summer from 1997 is a horror slasher written by Kevin Williamson, and he wrote this movie before he wrote Scream, but the movie wasn't able to be made until after the success of Scream, so it's an interesting situation. The movie is based on on a book by Lois Duncan, which I have here, and I read this book before I watched this entire film series of 4 movies. The book is very different from the movie, and very famously, the author did not like the idea of turning this book into a slasher movie, because in the book, it's more about the group of characters' guilt over what they did, and nobody actually dies except for the person who is involved in the accident. It's a good book and I would recommend it, but don't expect it to be anything like the film. Now, it was interesting watching through these 4 movies because this is the first series of movies I've watched where none of the movies are actually very good. Now, bear with me because I know the first movie is a classic in a sense because of the cast and the nostalgia of the time, riding the wave of Scream lookalikes. But watching it today, you could tell how rushed it was. There's some very strange editing decisions in the movie. The acting is not all that great. And the cleavage of the female cast members is on display to the point where it became kind of a running joke when this movie was parodied. I think the first movie is a fun rewatch, but I may be biased because I'm nostalgic for the time period and I really love this cast, especially Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Felipe. I had never seen any of the sequels, so I still know What You Did Last Summer hit me upside the head with whiplash of wackiness. This is one of the dumbest, craziest, so bad it's almost good horror sequels I've ever seen. The plot makes 0 sense. The cameos are hilarious, including most infamously Jack Black as this dreadlocked weed dealer, but they bring in Brandy and Mekhi Phifer to round out the cast this time. They do a very good job, very entertaining performances from both of them. Jennifer Love Hewitt is fine, but again, the movie and the plot of this fake radio prize of a trip to the Bahamas, and they all go to the Bahamas and the killers find them there. It's so silly, but in a sense that's what horror slasher sequels especially are made of. So that one was decent as a kind of guilty pleasure. I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer was a direct-to-video sequel with none of the original cast. It takes place in Colorado, which is landlocked, so a fisherman killer doesn't make a lot of sense. And they have this new group of kids do something different where they are pulling a prank where their buddy is on a skateboard and the other guy is dressed up as the fisherman killer and chases the skateboarder up to the top of a parking garage where he's going to do a trick, but he screws up the trick and kills himself by accident, and that's the inciting incident of this movie. This movie came out in 2006 and it is very 2000s. There's a lot of jumpy editing and it tries to be stylish, but it's very dated at this point. And they made the killer basically Jason Voorhees. There's no whodunit here, despite many red herrings throughout the whole movie. It's just the original killer from the first 2 movies, but he's like a zombie now. Now, I really didn't like this movie, and I had higher hopes for the 2025 movie, but I will give I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer some credit for trying new things and not feeling super cynical or insulting to the audience, which the 2025 movie totally is. When it comes to plot points and motivations that don't make sense, character heel turns that are insulting, and an overall feeling that this was just a schlocky cash grab, 2025 really takes the cake. In this one, they ditched the killer from the original movies, and this is more in the Scream template of a whodunit where the fisherman killer is actually a character or characters from the main group of people in the movie. Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. return for this one, as well as another character that I won't spoil because it's a cool little Easter egg at the end, even though by the end of the movie I was so annoyed that I didn't really enjoy it as much as I could have. The new cast is is fine and somewhat likable, but like the movie before it, their motivations for covering up their supposed crime are flimsy and based on assumptions that don't really make sense. I think, having watched the entire Scream series recently, that if Scream is kind of a best case scenario for legacy sequels in horror, 2025 is really a worst case scenario. I was extremely annoyed by this movie, and I hope they don't make another one. And that will do it for this one. I thank you so much for watching till the end. If you like these short reviews, I have a whole playlist of them on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.